Hi, my name is Andy Murphy, and I'm the founder of The Secure Dad. And I wanted to create a resource to help families understand if their children were ready for social media. And my goal here is not to tell you yes or no. My goal is to give you the information that you need to make a better decision about what's right for you and your family. I understand that social media is more about a maturity level over an age, and every family is different and unique. And what may work for one family may not work for yours. There's no cookie cutter solution here, but over the next few minutes, we're going to understand how you need to best make this decision for you and your family. So the big question, what we're here to answer, and what I'm sure you have heard your child say, everyone else is on social media. Why can't I? So we need to understand that your kids are using a little bit of trickery here in talking to you. They're making it sound like every single person on planet Earth is on social media, and they are not, and they are an outcast for it. That is not the situation. We know that. In the moment, the way they phrase it and the passion that they have behind it can really make it feel that way. But what we need to understand is just because everybody else is on it doesn't mean that you, my child, are ready for it. And that is a big, big thing to understand when it comes to social media. So a lot of people will look at a legal age of when we start something, like when we can drive, when we can purchase alcohol, when we can vote, all of those sorts of things. So there's like a legal precedent out there to help us understand when it's okay for a kid to do something. So there is something out there called the COPPA, and it's a guideline that pretty much lets all the social media companies know that they should not allow users younger than 13. That comes from a concern over data collection, not anything on emotional or mental maturity of young users. That's about data collection. It is not about if your child is ready. So just understand that up front, that, Facebook or Snapchat may say nobody younger than 13, that sort of thing. It's for data collection, to protect them, not necessarily to protect your kids. So just because your kids reach a certain age doesn't mean that they're ready for social media. Maturity is more important than age when it comes to social media. If your kid is ready for it, they may be ready for it at 15. They may be ready for it at 21. Who knows? But just because they reach a certain age doesn't mean that they are necessarily ready for it. There's a lot of people out there that I really like and respect who will say that you need to push this conversation off until your kid is 16. And that could be great, because at 16, your child might be ready, or they may not be. Just because they reach that age doesn't mean they are automatically green-lighted to go into social media. That's not what that means. So that is a decision that every parent has to make for their children. And yeah, one child may be ready at 15 and the other one will not be ready until much later in life. That's just who they are. And that's just what makes our kids so unique and so special, and why parenting is so important. So whenever you feel like your child is ready for social media, you have to ask yourself this big, important question. Ask yourself, can they handle the rejection and the peer pressure that comes from social media? That's big. I mean, that's huge. I know 40-year-olds who are not ready for the pressure of social media. There's been a lot of times as just an individual or as a small business owner that I have been like, you know what? This is getting to be too much. So, and it's that way for all of us, but please understand the maturity is more important than age. I have been asked in the past, what is the best social media platform for kids? And while each platform is different, it's its own little world. People interact differently. How you interact is different. What you can post, what you can't post, can you like and reshare, all of that. That's all different. The big problems like bullying, pornography, racism, child predators, those are all found on every single platform. Again, while each one is its own little world, they all share the same problems. They're all there. So there is no one platform that I feel is safer than the other. They all have the same amount of problems. So if your child does get a social media account, these are 4 things that you are absolutely going to need to do. Number 1, you need to make their account private. I would also suggest for you as an adult, you make your account private as well. But make sure that it's private so that only people they know in real life can interact with them, can follow with them, or can comment. If the platform allows you to designate your child's account as a minor account, that's big, because that will control what the algorithm shows them and who has access to them as well, and whether or not advertisers can get their information. Then there's going to be tracking. There's going to be like location tracking. I highly suggest that you turn this off. In early 2025, Instagram surprised us all by giving us a feature that nobody asked for, which was you can see the live position of people that you were following on Instagram. That was awful, because I know that there were people who had brands who their home location was docked for hours because they had updated what they were doing and they didn't know this was real. They didn't know that it was happening. They just turned it on with an update. And it was just like, hey, by the way, here's your location. So make sure that all of the tracking is turned off. One, because you don't want anybody knowing where your kid is who would do them harm. Number two, businesses will track where your kid is. And so they can get targeted with ads. They want to know where your kid is going, where they've been, where they might go, what their patterns of life are. So just turn off all location services for all social media platforms. And then the last one is comments. You want to make sure that your kid's profile does not allow comments at this point in time. If they're young, maybe somebody has good intent to try to make your kid laugh. They don't interpret it that way. Or maybe somebody just makes a really mean-spirited or racist comment to your child. You don't want that sort of stuff. So making private, making sure the comments are off where they can only express themselves and not have the fear of somebody saying something negative back to them is going to be huge. So next up, let's talk about your child's digital shadow. We have this as adults as well, but let's talk about it for kids for a second. We need to understand that what your kids post, whether it's a photo, a video, or what do they put in their bio, what they link to, is all going to be associated with them forever. And while this may not be fair, your kids are going to be judged by what they said and what they did when they first had social media. People will screenshot this kind of stuff, and your child is having a profile built about them. And that feels really uncomfortable to say, but that's the truth. And who gets this profile? Well, it's the social media companies, it's the advertisers, and then sometimes even people can take the bits and pieces from your child's digital shadow and put it into a picture of understanding who they are, where they could be, and what they might be interested in order to do things that you don't want. There's this myth out there that people think that if they delete a comment, they delete a post, they delete a video, that it is gone forever. Or even if they delete their account, it's gone forever. And that's not the case. People can screenshot what your kids post. It could be something funny. It could be something detrimental. It could be a statement that could be completely taken out of context. Anybody can screenshot what you put on social media. So understand that even though your kid may delete something, it may still be out there. There are also archives that are associated with your child's username, their IP address, their location, all of that sort of stuff. That all gets archived. It's always going to be there. They need to understand that whatever they post, video, a reel, a comment, whatever, it's like putting what they are saying on a billboard in the middle of town. So you need to help them to get the fact that what they say and do on social media and the digital world will follow them into the real world. So make sure that they understand that what they're posting reflects who they are, your family values, and the rules that you've set up as a household. Now, a little bit ago, I talked about, online predators being present on every single platform, and that is true. Tell your kids that not everybody online is who they say they are. Anybody can snag a picture and put it as their profile picture to make them look like they are younger than they are. Or people can write a bio that makes it sound like they're a kid and, in middle school, one town over, that sort of stuff. Fake profiles can look convincing. And of course, anytime anybody, makes a comment or starts to message your child privately that you don't want, you need to block it and report it immediately. Don't let that slide. One of the big red flags for online predators is they will pretend to be somebody that they are not, and they will lure your kid into a relationship. And it could start out as a friendship, and it could evolve into a point in time where they say, hey, it's time that we meet in real life. Let's go meet at this place. Maybe it's a public park, or hey, I'll pick you up from school today, that sort of thing. And they are willingly getting into the car and going off with somebody that they thought was their friend. When I was growing up, everybody thought, that kids were going to get kidnapped off the street. This van was going to pull up, the door was going to roll open, and they were going to get snatched and drive off and never be seen again. Today, in 2025, kids are willingly getting into the van because they think they're getting in with a friend. And that friendship develops digitally on platforms like social media and even Roblox. So that's a big thing to understand, that a lot of missing persons cases with kids start with the relationships that they have online. So let's tell your kids to think about what they post before they post it. Generally speaking, it's okay for your kid to share their first name and what their interests are, what their hobbies are. Maybe they're a big fan of football, or they like some sort of middle grade fiction books, that sort of thing. That's okay to talk about on social media. But what kids don't need to share is their full name, their address, what school they go to, what grade they're in, their social security number, their live location, and even stuff that would let people know what their daily routine is, because all of that information can be used by a predator to create a profile to better understand who they are, to manipulate them into getting them to do what they want them to do. So also, your kids need to understand that if they post a picture, there could be something that they inadvertently share in the background. So make sure your kids understand that when they take a picture, look at the whole picture. Just like, hey, yes, you look great in this and the lighting is good, but in the background, there's something here that you shouldn't be sharing online. So just make sure they get the point that everything in the image can be seen, whether or not it's their intent to show it. Now let's talk about the rules that you need to set up for your family. And I'm giving you some examples here on screen. But what I think you need to understand is that the rules for social media in your house need to grow. What worked for them, let's say they joined social media at 16, may not work for them at 17. So be willing to be flexible in these rules. Hear your kids out about what they want to do and why they want to do it, so that you can understand what they're saying and what they're coming from. Let their voices be heard and make these rules together. If kids start to make a mistake, and they do make a mistake, and they will, and we'll talk about this in a second, if they know what the repercussions are, if they know what the consequences are going to be, it will make that talk go a whole lot easier if they know upfront what the rules are and what the response was going to be if they broke one. So that will actually really, really help you. So now let's talk about what happens when something goes wrong. And it's not going to be if something goes wrong. Something will go wrong. A lot of parents think, oh, my kid will be the one who doesn't do this, or my kid would never do that. Every parent thinks that. But every kid makes a mistake, because every kid is human. They're learning this as they go. They're going to make a mistake. They're going to break one of the house rules, something like that. You need to have an open communication with them. Let them know that they can come and speak with you, explain what happened, show you what it is, so that you can work through it together as a family. Because if they feel you're just going to take their phone away and never give it back to them, they will hold on to so much trauma and pain that you would never want them to have. So please just make sure that you have that open communication. I have had a lot of people on my podcast, the Secure Family Podcast, and they track online predators across the globe and help bring them to justice. And they all say this: make sure that your kids can come to you without being afraid. This is one of the best things that you can do to help them. And whether it's social media, if it's something in a video game, whatever it is, let them be able to come to you and talk about it, and you solve the problem as a family. So remember a few slides ago where I talked about your child's digital footprint? Well, there's a lot of data being collected on you and me as well, and it's insane. Believe it or not, Your personal information can be bought and sold on data broker sites. And that information includes your name, your address, your phone number, your work history, a list of your relatives, your property value, and so much more. Delete Me works to remove that data from those data broker sites on your behalf. And it's a fantastic service. I have been a member of Delete Me since 2018, and I was a happy customer of theirs for 3 years before I ever did any affiliate work for them, so I know that it works. Right now, you can get 20% off a Delete Me plan of your choice when you use the code DAD at checkout. So go to joindeleteme.com/dad, code DAD, and you can get 20% off the Delete Me plan that best fits your family's needs. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that I have helped you to understand the good and the bad of social media for kids, to understand that it is not about an age. It's more about a maturity level, and every kid matures at their own pace, and they will be ready for social media in their own time. If you want to know more from me, you can visit thesecuredad.com. You can listen to the Secure Family Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, or follow me on social media with the username TheSecure.